So the question that was asked is, are chakras real? Or are they just imaginary centers in the body that are used to help guide yoga practice? So to look at this question, we can start by asking the question, what is real? And how can we know that something is real or not? So if we think about the moon, obviously people have now been to the moon and landed on it and touched its surface. But before 1969, no one had actually been to the moon. But they could see the moon in the sky. Now obviously not everyone could see the moon in the sky because some people are blind. But most people could see the moon in the sky. This aspect of some people being able to see things and some people not being able to see them will become more relevant when we look at the nature of chakras. And even amongst the people who can see the moon, not everyone can see it all of the time. Sometimes it's on the other side of the earth. Sometimes there are clouds and the moon is hidden. Sometimes it's there but it's a dark moon and you can't actually see it at all, even when looking straight at it. But most people could see the moon, and most people could see the moon some of the time, and so it was considered to be real. And not everyone sees the moon in the same way all of the time. One person might be looking at the moon from one country and see it as a beautiful large orange disk rising above the horizon. But at exactly the same moment, there could be someone in another country looking at the moon and seeing it as a small disk high up in the sky. And someone else might be seeing the moon through clouds and watching it appearing and disappearing constantly. So just because people see something differently doesn't mean that it isn't real. Now, even if someone is blind, they can still work out by inference that the moon exists and is real. They could do that by standing on a beach and observing what happens to the movement of water as the tides come in and go out. They might initially think that maybe it's the wind that's blowing the sea and causing the water to move up the beach, and that is in fact one of the things that can cause a tide to be higher than usual if there's a storm out at sea. But they could work out that the wind couldn't be strong enough to move the ocean so many meters in and out every 12 hours. And they could also work out that strong winds don't happen every 12 hours and 25 minutes. So they could then infer from that that something else must be causing the tides. Whether they would be able to work out from that there must be a moon orbiting the Earth, I don't know, but in theory it would be possible. So when it comes to chakras, most people can't see them. So we have the opposite situation as we have with the moon. Only a few people are physically blind, but with chakras, most people can't see chakras, and only a few people can. But that doesn't mean that something isn't real, just because there's a change in the ratio of those who can see something. Chakras can also be felt by those people who have that mode of sensory perception called clairsentience, and they can also be heard. There is a subtle auditory sense called clairaudience, which allows people to hear the sounds that are contained within chakras, such as bells, gongs, harps, music playing, and so on. But even though most people are not able to see or feel their chakras, they can still infer the existence of chakras, the way a blind person can infer the existence of the moon. If you've ever had a time when you were so afraid that you felt that you wanted to throw up, that's caused by a contraction of the Manipura chakra, which is the solar plexus chakra. It is related to the stomach, and that contraction of the chakra from fear can make someone feel physically sick or actually be physically sick. We have the saying, "I was sick with fear." This obviously isn't an evolutionary development. No species would develop a response to fear of being physically sick. When you're frightened, it's usually because there's some danger around. So you would want to go into flight or fight mode to be able to hide or run. You wouldn't want to be throwing up in the corner. That's not going to help at all. You would simply give away your position to any animal that was hunting you. So it's not an evolutionary development. It's simply an aspect of a chakra in the body contracting. Another thing that people do often feel is that when they fall in love, it can feel as if the front of the chest opens up and expands. And this is related to the heart chakra. The heart chakra is related to love, and that feeling of opening and expansion of the chest is related to that. The relationship between the heart chakra and love is the reason everyone sends each other cards with pictures of hearts on Valentine's Day. So people can infer the existence of the heart chakra from that feeling. But as I mentioned, some people can see their chakras in their body and also feel them and hear them. So chakras have subjective reality. And these people can describe these chakras, and their descriptions match up with others who have the same inner perceptions. But interestingly, chakras are also objectively real. This is because people who have these inner perceptions can also sometimes develop the ability to see and feel at a distance other people's chakras. So several people can all be seeing one person's chakra system at the same time. So chakras have objective reality, in the same way that anything that can be perceived by multiple people at the same time has objective reality. Right now, more and more people are developing the ability to perceive chakras through inner vision, or through felt sense, or through inner auditory perception. And there will become a point where, as humanity evolves further, the majority of people will be conscious of chakras in their own body and in other people's bodies. And then we'll simply talk about them as being real, the way that we talk about the moon as being real. And if you're wondering how many senses humans have, it's actually 11. There are the 5 physical senses, plus the mind, as we're aware of thoughts and memories, as well as being able to see, hear, touch, taste and smell. So that makes 6. And then there is a corresponding subtle sense for each physical sense. So clairvoyance, clairaudience, clairsentience, and the subtle senses of taste and smell. So when people in the West talk about the 6th sense, being a psychic sense, in yoga that 6th sense is actually the last 5 of those 11 senses that humans have, or at least potentially have.